Guys, today we're talking about the Grammy Awards, and unfortunately for both you and me, Chappell Roan having her nipples hold up her dress was not the most outrageous and performative thing we had to experience. It is a Monday. It's the beginning of the week here in the South. We are just easing back into life after Snowmageddon. Today is the first day that we are actually able to leave our house. So let's just start simple with this episode. Let's start with like a palate cleanser. Let's start with the Grammys fashion, because in retrospect, looking back on Sunday night, it was a warning that we all should turn off our TVs and ignore everything that was going on. A couple of highlights or atrocities from the red carpet, first of which was Heidi Klum, who showed up barely able to walk in her saran wrap dress. Just take a look at this. Like, I don't even know what we are seeing here. It looks like she's the mold for a statue, but somebody posted this tweet and said, Heidi Klum really showed up to the Grammys looking like an uncooked chicken, like my spatchcock queen. Heidi Klum, that is what she is serving. But she was not the only animal-inspired person present, because Billie Eilish showed up looking like a penguin. Well, her and many others, actually. Take a look at this picture. This is her, Bad Bunny, and Miley Cyrus, who I don't even know what Miley Cyrus is wearing now. She went from bangers being fully naked to now being in like a pantsuit with a leather jacket. All of that, even though it is crazy, it is mild compared to what is next, both in terms of fashion and politics, because nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for this. And yes, that is Chappell Roan wearing a dress that is held up by nipple piercings. I feel like everybody goes to these award shows and they try to be shocking. Like, some people, they show up and they just want to be pretty and classy. They wear a simple dress. And then some people, you know, it's like Lady Gaga wearing the meat dress, but this might take the cake. Chappell Roan in a titty-hanging dress. Logistically, I have so many questions. Okay, I'm sorry, I did zoom in. I'm not seeing a full nipple. Like, are these like prosthetics? But I don't even know what is going on. And obviously, like, looking at that, this is not somebody who is a good influence on society. This is not somebody that I would want my children looking up to. But people in Hollywood apparently feel different. Specifically, Jamie Foxx, who stopped Chappell Roan on the red carpet dressed like this to say how grateful he is for her influence on his children. Just watch. I know we give this analogy all the time, but it's like Hunger Games come to life. Let's just like dive into this situation right here. So Jamie Foxx in his Megatron hat is coming up to this woman whose tits are fully out, and he's like, here's my child, my androgynous child. I cannot tell if that is a girl, a boy, what's going on. He's like, my child loves you. How are you doing? I'm trying not to look at your boobs. I'm gonna keep looking at your face. It's insane. This is like Hollywood personified in a video. Again, let's just, a father talking about how much his children love a woman who is wearing a dress that is being held up by her boobies. So I do have to give credit where credit is due, because again, some people did show up less shockingly, like Sabrina Carpenter. She looked beautiful. That was probably my favorite dress of the entire night. She always looks like adorable and cute. That dress was like chef's kiss, stunning. And listen, I could spend an entire episode all day talking about the fashion, but that is not what we are here for. That is not the most important story of the day. We actually need to talk about the politics and the brain dead performative activism that took place at Sunday night's show. And we need to talk about the few performers that actually seemed real and authentic. Now, before we dive into all of that, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And if you want to get notified about every single episode that we release 4 days a week, make sure that you ring that notification bell. And if you want to see behind the scenes content and farm vlogs and travel vlogs, all of that stuff, ad-free episodes, go to cooperconfidential.com. That is our subscriber platform that we built for you guys. You've been loving it, so go check it out and see if it might be up your alley. Let's just dive into this, because all anyone could talk about all Sunday night was ice. And no, I do not mean the ice that they were wearing around their necks. And like, it, guys, it was everywhere, right down to the fashion actually, because almost every single attendee at the Grammys was wearing a tiny little ice out pin on their lapels to prove to the world, to their friends, to their peers, how virtuous and good they really are. They just pinned that right on and then felt like they could pat themselves on the back for being a good person. And I just want you to close your eyes and just imagine the cartel, the gang members, the child and sex traffickers just laughing their asses off at these celebrities fighting for them to be able to continue bringing drugs into our country and trafficking children. It is just crazy. Thankfully for us, for this episode, for our content, thankfully somebody was at least a bit more creative and decided to DIY his own performative pin. And that would be Bon Iver wearing a whistle for the people of Minneapolis. Just watch his remarks.
I want to ask about the whistle. Obviously, it's very prominent. What does it stand for?
It's to honor the observers in Minneapolis. You know, they blow the whistles when they see ICE come in. and they're there to protect their community, and they've been doing it for weeks in 30 below. And I think that kind of work, it's really great to stop here and to celebrate music and to talk about the power of music and to recognize each other. But I think the real work is in the streets of Minneapolis right now, and I'm here to honor them as well.
Yes, the burning, the looting, the murdering, the screaming, that's the real work. And they're not protesters, they're not rioters, they're not, obstructors of justice. They're observers. They're observers, and I am here to honor and defend them. And I love that even though he brought his own whistle, he was like, oh, well, I still gotta put on my Ice Out pin. I gotta have both going on. Look how great I am. I have both pins on. And I always feel like I live in a completely different reality from these people, but I guess we also don't have the same definition of protecting our communities, because destroying cities, creating autonomous zones in Minneapolis, looting stores, riling people up to the point that they get in dangerous situations where they're facing off with ICE agents and Border Patrol, that does not fall under my definition of protecting communities. That's just obstruction of justice and putting people in harm's way who are just trying to do their jobs to protect you. Because at the end of the day, that is what Border Patrol and ICE is out to do. They're trying to protect you and bring back law and order, which will make our country better, even if you can't get that through your thick ass head. All right, now moving on from that, everybody walked the red carpet, titties and pins on full display. We finally got into the venue and the Grammys officially started, and Bad Bunny obviously was the major winner of the night. Conspiracy there, we're gonna talk about that. But he even won Album of the Year, and his was the first Spanish language album to ever win. And somebody actually pointed out that this was probably only because of his upcoming, extremely controversial Super Bowl halftime show. If you don't think he was given this in some deal between the NFL and the Grammys to drive viewership for the Super Bowl halftime show, then you don't know how this crappy entertainment business works. It's all rigged! There's voter fraud in every part of our country, every single industry. Okay, now all of that aside, 100%, it makes sense that he won. They're trying to drive viewership. What we really need to do is dive into the politics. We need to listen to his acceptance speech. And you're really gonna have to work to listen. And you'll see why.
I'm gonna say, Eyes Out. We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
Okay, well, Benito, some of us are not Americans, and that's kind of the whole point. That's kind of the problem, is that there are millions of people who are here who are not actually Americans. But that does not seem to deter him. Let's let him continue.
I know it's tough to know, not to hate on these days. And I was thinking, sometime we get contaminados. I don't know how to say that in English. The hate get more powerful with more hate. The only thing that is more powerful than hate is love.
Maybe he's trying to make a nice point here and saying, you can't find hate with hate, fight with love. Like, tell that to people in Minneapolis, I know. But dude, you can't even speak English well enough to do your performative activism. Just stop. Just sit down. Now, I don't even know if he knows this or could explain it in English or in Spanish, but what he is arguing for is the idea of post-nationalism, or this idea that borders and citizenship, they're obsolete, they don't matter. It's like this idea of open borders. It is the theory that is tied to the whole no human is illegal, rights should not be determined based on your relationship with the state. I completely disagree. Your rights, your privileges in a certain country should be tied to your relationship to that country. And if you come to America illegally, if you are taking resources from law-abiding U.S. American citizens, if you are harming Americans in the streets, you are infringing upon all of our rights, and that takes priority in America. The rights of American citizens. And just because you are here, just because you've been here for a year, 20 years, whatever it is, you having feet on this soil does not make you an American, and it should not make you an American. Now, before I get into the comments on his speech, just to jog your memory, because the Super Bowl is coming up, this is the man who said that he was not going to do concerts in America, he was not going to perform on American soil because he did not want ICE showing up outside of his venues arresting all of his fans. But the moment that Jay-Z and the Super Bowl, the NFL called and said, do you want to do the halftime show? He came trotting right on back to the States. Hypocritical, per usual, of course. But back to his activism, back to the speech, Cartier family said, if you were American, then you wouldn't have to worry about ICE. Kind of funny how it works. Another person responded and said, so if I sneak into Japan, can I say that I'm Japanese? No! Obviously not. That's not how it works around the country, but that is what Benito is advocating for. Now, thankfully, the online reaction to this speech, it was just an uproar of people going, this is so ridiculous. It gives me hope for America, just like Good Ranchers gives me hope for America. Now, as America turns 250 this year, it is worth remembering the people who truly built this country, the ones who woke up before the sun on season after season without applause, and obviously that would be America's ranchers. For generations, American ranchers have worked tirelessly to feed this nation through droughts and wars and recessions, pandemics and changing markets, and that legacy is exactly what Good Ranchers was built on and what they strive to celebrate. Every cut of Good Ranchers meat is raised on local American farms and ranches. From sourcing to packaging to fulfillment, everything else also happens right here in the US. Their customer support team is even in-house, and with every order, a portion of profits is donated to paralyzed veterans of America. And so as we celebrate American heritage this year, Good Ranchers truly sits at the heart of that story. They support these ranchers and farmers every single step of the way, and by becoming a subscriber, you can do that too. By subscribing and using code BREAD at checkout, you will get incredible American-raised meat delivered to your door every month, plus $25 off every box, free shipping, and a free bonus gift for life. So visit goodranchers.com today, subscribe to any box of 100% American meat, and save up to $500 a year. Plus, if you use code BREAD, you will get an extra $25 off your first order. Again, goodranchers.com, that's American meat delivered. Lucky for you and me, the activism did not stop with Bad Bunny, because next up was Shaboozey and Olivia Dean. Just watch.
The last thing I want to say, immigrants built this country, literally. So this is for them, for all children of immigrants. This is also for those who came to this country in search of better opportunity, to be a part of a nation that promised freedom for all and equal opportunity to everyone willing to work for it.
Now, obviously, that's a nice sentiment, but he is missing an integral part of this entire argument. We're going to talk about that in a second, but first, let's see what Olivia Dean, and this pains me because I love her. I'm so glad that she won. This was like stabbing in the heart. This is what she said when she won Best New Artist.
I guess I want to say I'm up here as a granddaughter of an immigrant. I wouldn't be here. I'm a product of bravery, and I think those people deserve to be celebrated.
I mean, like, we can see right through this. Like, guys, she is not even an American. Like, guaranteed, she got up there. She basically said it. She was like, I guess I should say. Like, she saw everybody wearing their pins, making their little political statements, and she was like, all right, well, I guess I gotta say this. I gotta jump on the bandwagon. Like, Olivia, I'm sorry. Look at your country. Look at the UK. Do you like the way that it's going? Do you like your culture being completely upended and destructed by refugees and migrants who hate you, who hate your country, who are coming there illegally? Do you like your fellow citizens being stabbed and attacked and raped in the streets? Do you like having officers come to your home if you make a social media post against what is happening? That's what we're fighting against here. It's kind of the bare minimum. Also, an important note that so many people jumped in the comments to say is that her grandmother, like this person says, immigrated to the UK legally at the age of 18. No one is saying anything about legal immigrants. The problem is illegal immigrants, and that is also how I would respond to Shaboozey. Lovely sentiment, very nice, brave immigrants, all good things, but we're not talking about brave legal immigrants. And it's also just so absurd, like the audacity of these out-of-touch Hollywood musical celebrities to make all of these claims about us, about what we believe, when both the first and second lady, who are in support of everything that Donald Trump is doing, are the children of immigrants, legal immigrants. They are legal themselves, and they understand what it took to get here and the difference between legal and illegal. Now, here is the point that I'm really trying to make. These people, with all of their speeches, their pins, they can't, or they just won't acknowledge the difference between legal and illegal immigrants. They are willingly, intentionally, I believe, distorting reality to appeal to people's emotions, to voters who are not paying attention, who are not scrolling on X, who are not searching for clarity when they read news stories about what is going on with ICE and Minneapolis. And this is how they really infiltrate the minds of American women, by the way, because they know that they can pull on their emotional heartstrings and distort what is actually happening. These women and these voters who are not paying attention to the news cycle 24/7, they are just hearing these emotional outcries. They think of the legal immigrants that they know, the stories of the American dream, and they go, oh my gosh, what is happening is so wrong, without actually knowing the facts. They aren't talking about the members of gangs and cartels who are crossing the border and killing American women. They don't think about the children that are trafficked and discarded during border crossings. They don't think about the people who came here illegally, made no effort to try to become citizens, did not learn the language, did not assimilate, and have been mooching off of the American taxpayer for 20 plus years. And I know that there are a lot of people who go, oh, well, they've been here so long, let's just let them say, actually, no, you're the first that I want to go because you've been here for so long and you did not assimilate and you did not become a citizen. It is time to end the mooching. But that language that they're using, the stories that they are conveniently leaving out, that is intentional. They are lying, whether that's because they know that people won't look deeper or because they are genuinely too idiotic to distinguish between the words legal or illegal. I don't know, but that is what is happening. Now, at least, at the very least, bare minimum, Billie Eilish at least acknowledged that she does not give a crap about whether it's legal or illegal because obviously it's all stolen land to begin with. I mean, guys, it is so predictable and exhausting. Look at what she said when she accepted her award.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter, and I say sorry.
And then what was bleeped there was her saying F ICE, of course. Now, there's so much that I want to unpack in this clip. First of all, she says her first little line, nobody is illegal on stolen land. She's like looking up at her brother Phineas like, I got, 2 intersectionality checkpoints. I talked about stolen land. I talked about illegal. She's literally like smirking up at him like, I did it. And then you have everybody in the audience, Sabrina freaking Carpenter being like, oh, yes. Yes, Lady Gaga being like, oh my gosh, so amazing. Clapping like seals. Well, she says nothing. Well, she just presents empty words because she is comfortable in a room full of peers that are going to applaud every single thing she does. They're not going to push back about any of the idiotic things that she's saying. And all of this is just so hilarious and ironic for me, especially with Billie, because this is what she said when she was performing a concert in Ireland, which is where she is actually from. She's an American. She was born here, but she did 23andMe. Her heritage is Ireland. This is what she said.
As you guys know, I'm Irish, so it's cool to be here. I am not from here, but it's really cool to come somewhere and like everybody looks exactly like you.
Oh, it's cool to go somewhere and have everybody look just like you. Imagine that. Imagine having that in America. Why do you get to go to Ireland and say how wonderful it is everybody looks like you, but here in America, oh no, we can't do that. We have to live in an absolute cluster F of madness. But imagine if we had that. Imagine knowing that all the people around you shared your basic values, the basic principles of America, shared your culture, your language. Imagine not dreading every time you have to call customer service, every time you call an Uber or get a delivery driver because you're worried that you're paying for a service or something or someone and you will not even be able to communicate with the individual who is doing the thing that you are paying for. Imagine living in a country that prioritizes your health and your safety and your rights instead of people who are breaking the law. Sounds nice, Billie. Love that. So glad you appreciated that in Ireland, who, by the way, is dealing with their own mess of this sort, but I doubt you will ever see that hypocrisy. Now, the greatest tweet of the entire night that I saw about the Grammys was actually in response to her, and I won't read you the entire thing. It was just like a mic drop moment, like fiery, blazing coming off of my phone. This woman tweeted and she said, Billie Eilish, with her whispered vocals and manufactured melancholy, steps onto the Grammy stage, a cathedral of corporate excess built on the very capitalist machinery she pretends to disdain, and delivers her smug little poison pill. It really was smug. Again, look at her face. Quote, no one is illegal on stolen land. Let's dissect this vapid, historically illiterate slogan that she parrots like a trust fund radical who never read a book without pictures. First, the phrase itself is a rhetorical sleight of hand designed to shut down debate by invoking guilt. That's what all of this is. She says it's not an argument, it is emotional blackmail. It's the same thing as ignoring the fact that there is a difference between illegal and legal. She goes on and she says, it collapses 500 years of complex history into a bumper sticker accusation that erases every distinction between conquest, treaty, purchase, settlement, war, and modern nation-state governance. The land was indeed taken through violence and betrayal, disease, legal fictions from people who themselves displaced prior inhabitants in endless cycles of migration and conflict stretching back to the Bering Land Bridge. Human history is a ledger of conquest. America's chapter is neither uniquely evil nor uniquely virtuous. It's just history. It's just what it is. We did what every single tribe and country and nation, state did before us. She goes on and she says, but Eilish doesn't want complexity. She wants the dopamine hit of moral superiority, which really is what was going on the entire evening with every single individual who donned that stupid pin, who got on stage to parrot the exact same talking points. And then the author keeps going, and I want you to hear the second part too. And the venomous hypocrisy. She performs on a stage in a city built on the land taken from the Tongva, wears clothing manufactured in sweatshops, streams her music on servers powered by strip-mined lithium, and flies private while lecturing about morality. But sure, Billie, tell the working class families dealing with the fentanyl deaths and the strained social services the borders are imaginary because manifest destiny. She isn't uneducated in the formal sense. She is deliberately, willfully ignorant, choosing slogans over substance because confronting actual history would require acknowledging that no nation on earth has clean hands and that modern immigration policy isn't equivalent to the Trail of Tears. It is a lazy, poisonous conflation meant to weaponize white guilt while absolving her of any intellectual responsibility. This is what I mean when I say my phone was like ablaze. I was like, yes, give me more of this. It was so well put. Now that last line did make me chuckle just in the grand scheme of the Grammys evening because some people there didn't need to absolve themselves of intellect because it seems like they didn't have any to begin with, probably because they didn't go to GCU. And GCU is Grand Canyon University, a private Christian university in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, offering over 360 academic programs, all informed by industry and student learning outcomes, and it is affordable. Now, in addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's on-campus students students received approximately $196 million in scholarships in 2024, and many also have the opportunity to graduate in less than 4 years, which is so amazing. GCU wants to get you trained and educated and into the workforce so that you can start building your future and fighting for your family, which is what higher education should actually be about. Not just leaving you stuck for years under mountains of debt with a degree that is meaningless. That is what makes GCU so different. So visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see what scholarships you may qualify for. Admissible high school seniors and transfer students can schedule a complimentary visit from anywhere in the country. Find your purpose today at GCU. It is private, it's Christian, and it's affordable. Again, visit gcu.edu/myoffer. And while you're furthering your education, let Jevity help support your brain as you do that. Jevity is how you cut through the noise and start optimizing your lifestyle and your health for your body. Now, I feel like everybody out there has an agenda. They're all selling somebody, but nobody is really looking at what your body needs, and they're not making it affordable to start learning that. Jevity is not pushing trends or cookie cutter protocols. They build plans tailored to you based on your lab work of over 100 plus biomarkers showing what is actually happening inside your body, not just the normal stuff that you will get at your general practitioner. This is in-depth analysis. And as somebody who lives in the middle of nowhere, I cannot tell you how much I love that Jevity actually sends mobile phlebotomists to your house for the blood work, because I'm not driving an hour each way for appointments with a baby. They will come to you, you'll get your results, and the care team will walk you through everything virtually. For me, it has made prioritizing my health actually doable postpartum instead of just being another thing on my 2026 to-do list. So if that sounds like something that you need, head on over to gojevity.com/Brett Cooper and use code Brett for 20% off. Again, that is gojevity, gojeviti.com/Brett Cooper, code Brett for a discount. Do that to start taking control of your health today. All right, so I know I teased you, but now we need to talk about the man with no intellect. It's either no intellect, no passions, no convictions. I don't know what it is, but there really isn't a lot going on in his head. We need to talk about the singer and Taylor Swift producer Jack Antonoff, and quite literally the greatest clip of the entire evening, because this man does not know why the F he is wearing that ice out pin, and it totally sums up the absolute performative nature of this entire charade. Just watch.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the pin that you're wearing tonight?
I mean,
Why is that important?
this is terrible, you know? I mean, it's time to... It's just, for every reason you could imagine, I would think. But, yeah, I'm a bit speechless trying to even talk about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like hard to talk about anything else at this point.
I get it.
But
But we can do both and find a way to, I don't know, it's just a really good time for people to come together.
I am like crawling out of my skin watching that. The best part of this video is like the microphone is still being held in front of him. He stops talking and she's like, I don't know what to say. And he's like, yeah, we can do both. We can talk and we can not talk. We can come together. What the F are you talking about? You don't even know. You don't know why you're wearing the pin. You have nothing to say about this consequential issue. Like at least the other people had rehearsed statements. You're just showing up like, yeah, I literally have no idea why I'm here, why I'm wearing this pin, but yeah, it's very important. It's so important. Like, okay, somebody commented and said, is the Tox in the room with us? Because the caption was like, Jack Antonoff talks about his pin. Yeah, he did not talk. He mumbled. He looked like he was high on shrooms, desperately hoping that somebody would rescue him from this awful situation. Somebody commented and said, might as well just wear a pin that says, I support the latest thing. That's basically what those pins are. But some people are a little more rehearsed than others, obviously. Another person said, my PR manager told me to wear this because everyone else is ass reason. Which brings me to this next comment. I think this is an excellent point. This girl said, this is what makes me think that these pins were given out at the door because these celebrities don't know what the F they are outraged about. He couldn't even put a sentence together. Were they getting out of their big SUVs and they're like, here, take a pin. Make sure you speak about ICE. It's really important for your brand. We're gonna clip this. And then you're gonna post resources on your Instagram story. Like, it's so dumb. It is so performative. It is so vapid. It is empty. You are doing nothing. Now, I do want to compare this with somebody that I usually do not like very much, Kim Kardashian, and I wholeheartedly disagree with her on almost every issue, but at least Kim Kardashian took the time to learn sort of about the cause, and the cause is that she is fighting for. She took the time, literally years, to learn law, to study for the bar exam. She's now trying to pass the bar exam so that she can practice law to fight for these causes that she believes in. She even went and met with Trump. She is trying to do something at least. Even if I don't agree with what she's wanting to do, at least she's not just sitting there with a retarded ICE out pin being an NPC at the Grammys. Because that's what everybody else is doing. I know that I just spent the bulk of the show railing on celebrities and their outfits and everything under the sun, but amongst all of that darkness and chaos, there was some light. And that, of course, included all of our favorites, Jelly Roll. Now, when he got on stage, he, of course, did his Jelly Roll thing, and he chose not to succumb to the performative BS outrage. And instead, he tried to empower people, and not people in that room, which I think is really important. He was speaking to the people at home, the people that have been through things like he went through, and he was trying to uplift them. And he also shared the gospel. Listen to what he said.
I know they're going to try to kick me off here, so just let me try to get this out. First of all, Jesus, I hear you and I'm listening, Lord. I am listening, Lord. Second of all, I want to thank my beautiful wife. I would have never changed my life without you. I'd have ended up dead or in jail. I'd have killed myself if it wasn't for you and Jesus. I thank you for that. I thank you for my label, Broken Bow, Country Radio, baby. What's up, y'all? Oh, Republic, John Manili, we did it, baby. There was a time in my life, y'all, that I was broken. That's why I wrote this album. I didn't think I had a chance, y'all. There was days that I thought the darkest things. I was a horrible human. There was a moment in my life that all I had was a Bible this big and a radio the same size and a 6x8 foot cell. And I believed that those two things could change my life. I believed that music had the power to change my life and God had the power to change my life. And I want to tell y'all right now, Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
I mean, he is incredible. I feel like every time he takes the stage, he doesn't focus on himself. Not because he is vain or he thinks he's so fabulous, but to say, I am living proof that God can do amazing things. I am living proof that you can turn your life around. I am living proof that music matters more than just, money and clicks and tours and vanity, whatever it is. And he said that to an entire room of performative idiots, of people who spent the entire evening looking smug, wearing stupid pins, parroting talking points, not saying anything of value. And he got up on stage and he burned the entire thing down. Now, when he left, after winning 3 Grammy Awards, he was on the exiting red carpet. He was stopped. And of course, they had to ask him about ICE. And he once again refused to stoop to their level. This is what he said.
I can tell you that people shouldn't care to hear my opinion, man. I'm a dumb redneck. I haven't watched enough. I didn't have a phone for 18 months. I've had one for 4 months and don't have social media. I hate to be the artist that's that aloof, but I've become so disconnected from what's happening. And I'm just not I grew up in a house of insane pandemonium and I didn't even know politics were fucking real until I was in my mid-20s in jail. That's how disconnected. When you grow up in a drug addict household, you think we have common calls about what's happening in world politics? We're just trying to find a way to survive, man, And I have a lot to say about it, and I'm going to in the next week, and everybody's going to hear exactly what I have to say about it in the most loud and clear way I've ever spoken in my life. So I look forward to it.
Now, I have no idea if Jelly Roll and I have similar opinions or anything like that, and he's saying that he's going to go speak out about this, which is fine. It's totally his right. But on a night that is about music and celebrating music, he is focusing on just that. And I also love that in this interaction, he brought this reporter back down to earth and he said, do you think that the majority of people actually care about this stuff? Do you think that I grew up caring about this? You are so privileged that you get to sit there behind a microphone pestering me on my big night where I'm sharing the gospel and talking about music that a lot of people do not have the privilege to care about. I think that's really important. So who knows what he's going to say? I'll be interested to see whether he will take the Sydney Sweeney route and just be like, leave me alone, or whether he will dive in. I have no idea. But at least here, he kept his focus on what he deemed important. And then, of course, and you guys probably already know that I'm going to talk about him, even though they wore those Ice Out pins, you guys just know that I was so happy for Justin and Hailey Bieber. So Justin was nominated for his album Swag. It was his first album post Scooter Braun, and he showed up to perform for the first time in years. He crushed it. He sounded amazing. He looked amazing, and he just looked so at peace, which is the most important thing. And it made me so happy knowing everything that he's gone through, everything that we've talked about over the last year. And as a viewer and a consumer, what I personally loved the most was that while so many of these other performers were going all out, just doing way too much, they were flying around on stages that were floating, and they had an airplane come in and were dancing and doing all of these crazy things. Addison Rae was hanging on to the back of a semi-truck. There was so much crazy stuff happening. Justin did nothing. It was just him. He literally stripped down to just his underwear, which shocked a lot of people. He produced his own song live on stage. He didn't have a big band. It was just him, the piano, the synth, I think is what it's called, his guitar, a microphone, and he sang. He sang his new music that he finally got to put out, that he created just himself with no Scooter Braun, wearing his own clothing line that he's not having to fight over or share with Scooter and an ex-best friend. Everything was just stripped down to show off him and his vocals. He was standing in front of all of his peers, the entire world, and just saying, this is me, this is who I am, this is my music, I'm finally free. And the internet lost their minds. Everybody was posting about the ice of all of that, but the majority of things I saw were people saying, Justin Bieber is back. And he is just as talented live as everybody remembered, because it's been a while since he has performed live. And it also reminded a lot of people of a post that he made back in 2016. And I really think that this wraps this entire conversation and episode together, because he's really talking about how ridiculous these award shows are. So again, this was posted in 2016. He said, I don't know about these award shows. No disrespect to anybody at any of the shows or the people running it. Nothing but love for you guys and your support. But I don't feel good when I'm there nor after. I try to think of it as a celebration, but I can't help feeling like people are rating and grading my performance. A lot of people in the audience there seem to be worried about about how much camera time they will get or who they can network with. When I'm doing a regular show, I feel like they're there for the right reasons and to strictly have a good time, but these award shows seem so hollow. I get the premise is to award people for their accomplishments, but is it really? No, it's not, Justin. You're so right. It's not. Because when I look in the audience, I see a bunch of fake smiles so that when the camera hits them, they look happy. Sure, there are people truly proud of others, so I don't want to knock them. I'm just looking at the vast majority. I just think to myself, if I'm living my purpose, I want the reward to be fulfillment. I'm getting awarded for the things that I'm doing and not for who I am, which is understandable. I know it would be hard to calculate and award somebody's spirit, lol. But when I do get these awards, the temptation of putting my worth in what I do is so hard to fight. I am privileged and honored to be recognized by my peers, but in these settings, I can't feel the recognition. There's an authenticity missing that I crave, and I wonder, does anybody else? Sorry, not sorry about the grammar. It is not my strong point. Like, Justin has always hated the fakeness. He's hated having to play the role of Justin Bieber and be a puppet for so many other people who were controlling his life for so many years. He just wanted to show up and perform and sing and do what he loves, and on Sunday night, he did exactly that, and he did it on his own terms, probably for the first time since he was a little boy. And in a room full of sheep and people smiling and trying to prove themselves and trying to get caught on camera clapping at the right political statement, trying to climb to the top of the network, whether it was musically or politically, that stood out. So the difference in my mind between Justin Bieber, even with his ice pin, Justin Bieber and Jelly Roll and the rest of them, was authenticity, humility, and honesty. And the Grammys and everybody else there should really take note.